If you watched the Republican presidential debate on Fox News Channel last night, you were not alone by a long shot. A record 24 million people tuned in, making it the most watched primary debate ever, Republican or Democratic. Here's what former Florida Governor Jeb Bush had to say about it while speaking with New Hampshire voters today.
I had fun last night. I really enjoyed getting to know Donald Trump up close and personal. I've met him once before. He actually did a fundraiser for me. He didn't, but just for the record, he never asked for anything.
Now, Bush is referring to Trump's comment last night that when he makes political donations to candidates, he will then ask for favors later. Let's break it down with our political power panel in-house tonight. We have Guillermo, the current Orange County Democratic Party chair, now running for Florida House District 49. We also have Webster Barnaby, Republican, who ran for county commission in Volusia County. Gentlemen, we popped the popcorn and kicked our feet up for this one. This was not a laugh a minute, but a comment a minute for sure. We're going to start with you, Webster, being our Republican panel member. Are you happy with Donald Trump's performance, or were you shaking your head?
I was shaking my head at times, but again, Mr. Trump is causing many of the politicians to be on their toes in terms of recognizing that the public is frustrated with Washington. Washington is broken, and our legislators are not acting like legislators. They fail to understand that they've taken an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. The Republican Party is clearly a party that is concerned with the direction that the country's taken.
Now, let me hop in there. It's one thing to be frustrated, and Carlos, we're going to let you hop in on this point too. It's one thing to be frustrated and to be a spokesperson or a mouthpiece for the American people's frustration, but it's another thing to have the policy to back that up. Did we see anyone on stage, in your opinion, Carlos, who backed that up with some actual knowledge or a plan?
Well, you know, we had Republican Governor John Kasich, who was pushed over to the side in 10th place, who was struggling to get his message out, but he had a message that probably resonated with a lot of voters. One of the things that people didn't probably notice or talk a lot about is that when he talked about the possibility of his daughter being a lesbian, he talked about how he would accept her and love her because that's how he was grown up, and it got thunderous applause from Republicans in the audience. And I think what the takeaway from that is that Republican elected officials need to understand that their Republican voters are going to frown upon any anti-gay sentiments as the result of us winning the freedom to marry. It's no longer popular to be anti-LGBT, and I think that was certainly a takeaway. But what we saw last night was more of the same. We saw exactly the reason why the Republican National Committee did not want several Republican debates, because it was a total clown show. We had 10 men on the stage, 0 new ideas. Jeb Bush did not do very well. He's been struggling on the campaign trail for weeks, especially with his comments about wanting to slash women's health care funding. He looked uncomfortable, he looked nervous, and he's been prepped by Bush family debate coaches, and this is someone who should be experienced. He should have knocked it out of the park. He didn't.
Let's bring you back in, Webster. The person you seem to think did best and sort of stayed out of the fray as well was Senator Marco Rubio. Absolutely. What was it that hit home for you?
Marco Rubio showed tremendous gravitas, in my opinion. He spoke about the America's future, spoke about moving forward. He spoke about the fact that Hillary could not debate him on the issues, the fact that he grew up with having debts, and the fact that he came out with student loans over $100,000, and that she is super rich, super wealthy.
What does the Democratic Party have to counter with at this point? Because while it may have been a bit of a carnival up there with some of the antics, the counterpoint is that the Democrats just aren't putting out the numbers. Who do they have besides Hillary?
Well, look, the numbers don't matter. The number of candidates don't matter, as we saw last night. What matters is having new and fresh ideas, and we've got lots of Democratic candidates who have just that. We have candidates who are fighting for the middle class, who are advocating to make sure that people have living wages, making sure people have access to affordable health care, and we have affordable access to our public school system and to higher education. Those are things that workers care about.
We're going to let you guys work out your differences off camera. You are a fantastic debate team. We're going to bring you back to talk some more. Guillermo and Webster Barnaby, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.